To the late Ronnie Barker. The late Ronnie Barker had this ability to talk deadpan into the television camera with his ministry of piss pronunciation, and he had this unique ability to get away with things like spoonerisms, and he did this pilot for ITV in 1972, and it's all about spoonerisms, and it's all about Cinderella, and it's entitled Rindecella and the Two Sugliisters. Tunce upon a wime, a tong lime ago, in a corran funtry, there lived a beautiful burl, whose name was Rindecella. And Rindecella lived with her two Sugliisters in a marge lantion. Now, Rindecella worked really hard, frubbing slaws, emptying posspits, and shivelling shop. But at the end of each day, she was knucking fackered. Now, the two Sugliisters were right bugly asters. One was called Mary Hinge, and the other was called Betty Swallocks. And they were both really horrible huckers. They both had fetty sweet, fetty swannies, and tig bits. Now these two sucking fugliisters had tickets to go to the Bancy Fall. But the cotton runts wouldn't let Rindecella go. So, dressed in her tags and ratters, she cat down and sried. Suddenly, there was a bucking great fang, and the Gary Fodmother appeared. Her name was Sherry Hishole, and she was a light-rucking thespian. Do you know, she turned a pumpkin and 6 mite weiss into a hucking huge farriage pulled by 6 dandy ronkies with bucking huge hollocks and dig bicks. Now, the Gary Fodmother said to Rindecella, "Listen, just make sure you're home by dim light. Otherwise, I'm going to have to turn you into a tumpkin. And that, my dear Dill, would be a cucking calamity." "Out of the way, you fothermucker," said Rindecella. "Let the rog see the dabbit." And she shot off like a hat on a cot-rin tooth. At the ball, Rindecella was dancing with the Pransome Hints, when suddenly the clock struck 12. "My stall chucking frighty," said Rindecella. Ran down the steps, tripped Bass over Ollocks, and she dropped her slarse glipper. Well, the next day, the Pransome Hints knocked on Rindecella's door, and the two Sugliisters let him in. Suddenly, Betty Swallocks lifted her leg and ripped out a fig bart. Hucking fell. Who's fust jarted?" said the Pransome Hints. "You blame that fugly ucker over there," said Mary Hinge. "She's just tucking fippical. She always wants to poil the sparty." When the stinking brown cloud had lifted, the Pransome Hints tried the slarse glipper on the two Sugliisters, and it didn't did. And mugger be their feet stucking funk. Then the Pransome Hints tried the slarse glipper on Rindecella, and bow and the hold, it fitted, pucking perfectly. Well, Betty Swallocks was so ducking disgusted at this that she gave the Pransome Hints a knack in the kickers. Now, this wasn't too difficult, because he too had bucking huge hollocks, and by now, a hig barred on. Well, the Pransome Hints and Rindecella got married, and the Pransome Hints lived his life in lucking fuckery, while Rindecella lived hers with a folan swanny. Now, the storrel of the Maury is this: if, like mate Kiddleton, now the Cutches of Damebridge, if you want to marry a Pransome Hints, just make sure you drop your slipper.